Fill in the blank. The ideal school board member has the following experience and education.
Well, thank you very much for having us here tonight. An interesting question. I'm not sure that there really is an ideal background for service on the school board. Ideally, from my point of view, anybody running for school board should come to the table with a core knowledge of the current district, how it operates, what's happening. One of the things that I believe in my experience, I spent 2 years on the Audit and Finance Committee. And as a result of that experience, kind of simplified terminology, I know where all the bodies are buried. I know the district inside and out, because on the Audit and Finance Committee, we just didn't get into numbers and dollars. We got into transportation, human relations, records management, and one point I would like to make is that if I'm elected, I'm ready to hit the ground running day one. I don't come with a learning curve. And I would hope that anyone who's running for the school board would have a comparable kind of background, that they would know what's happening, where it's happening, that they don't have to sit there for the first year or two and go, and kind of learn about what's going on. Now, how you go about obtaining that knowledge, it's not an easy thing to do at all. It takes a little bit more than just going to the meetings. I'm a big baseball fan, and I go to a lot of baseball games. But that doesn't qualify me to be the commissioner of baseball either. You know, it's not the meetings you go to, it's what you do after you get to the meeting. And what kind of participation that you provide, what kind of suggestions that you offer to the board, what kind of constructive analysis that you bring to the situation, not just either sitting there or complaining about what's going on or what's not going on. It would be wonderful if there was kind of a resume, and you say, okay, this is what we need in a school board member. And I really don't think that that exists, and that anybody in theory could be a good school board member, but it's something you have to work at. It doesn't necessarily come naturally, logically. It's something that you have to really want yourself. Sloan Bashinsky's told me a number of times that I'm absolutely flat out crazy wanting to run for the school board, and that if I'm not crazy now, should I get elected to the school board, I will become crazy after that. Some days it's hard to argue with Sloan on that particular point. It's not a job that I would urge someone to look for as some kind of a resume builder, for example. It's a very serious and a very important job.
Thank you. That was Dr. Larry Murray. He's running for District 3.
I'm going to ask if they can identify themselves in their district.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, good idea.
Thank you.
It's 3 minutes for the first question, so you can introduce yourselves. And this is Mark Peterson.
Hi.
Who's running for District 3?
Thank you. Mark Peterson, running for District 3. I believe that probably the most important credential for any candidate for the school board is to have a passion for the school system and a sincere concern about the well-being of the school district and the well-being of the students and the teachers. I think that's the principal criteria. In my case, I have a background in municipal law. I was a general practice lawyer. I represented 2 different municipalities at different times during my practice. I am also a Florida licensed school teacher. I'm certified to teach about 20 subjects. The reason I did that, I can't teach 20 subjects. Most teachers got their hands full teaching 1 subject or 2 subjects. I just did that to learn what type of curriculum our students are going to be submitted to when they go through the school system. And having taken those exams and passed those exams, I'm familiar with what the curriculum is for probably half the subjects that are offered in the school system. And I have taught in the school system down here a little. I enjoy teaching very much. I feel passionate about education. I spent 28 years as a lawyer, all that time wishing that I was a school teacher because I feel really passionate about education, and I think this job is probably the most important job I'll ever have if I get it, because this school system is in serious financial difficulties. We need people on the board with a business background, people on the board that are going to be able to take decisions, make intelligent decisions about the business welfare of this school district, so that we can get ourselves out of the mess that we're in now. We are in a position where we're cutting 40 teaching positions. I think that's an outrage. 40 teaching positions. We have to take about 900 students now and put them into already full classrooms. And frankly, I blame that on the school board. If the school board had made sound business decisions in the past, we wouldn't be in this problem right now. And I'm prepared to step up and point out what the mistakes were in the past and what we need to do to rectify these problems so that in the future we don't have this happen again. This is a $80 million a year business, and we need people that are going to be able to run the school board and make good business decisions, the same type of skills that you need to run a corporation that has an $80 million a year budget. Thank you.
That was Mark Peterson, District 3. I'm going to repeat the question. Fill in the blank. An ideal school board member has the following experience and education. This is Howard Hubbard.
I'm Howard Hubbard, running for District 2. The ideal candidate is going to have the qualifications you see standing up here. Not just in me, but in every candidate. We wouldn't be here if we didn't think we were ideally qualified for this job. My background comes from corporate law. I spent 30 years in corporate law, most of which was let's make a deal. You spend a lot of time internationally when you're traveling, convincing people or selling them education. I've got to teach a lot of people about the American legal system in order to get my contracts put together. I can't just cram it down their throats. They're the clients. We're the vendor. We sell things. I sold engineering. Very difficult commodity to sell because everyone can do engineering. The problem is you've got to convince people that you've got better engineering. The way you do that is you come up with better qualified people. Now, I put in 6 years in the Navy. I was retired from the Navy. I'm a Vietnam vet. I didn't duck once too often. That's my excuse as to why I lost my arm. But anyway, I have 6 years in the Navy. Leadership is proven in combat. I have 30 years in business. My leadership again is proven. These corporations, by the way, that I work for, the two that I work for, are multi-billion-dollar operations. My budget was about the same size as you'll see here in the school board. I had to develop that budget, implement it, and manage it. You can't just pass a budget. You have to make sure you stay with that budget. That you can move funds around if you need to, but in the process, you have to make sure the one thing you're not shorting is education. The only reason the school district exists is education. Everything else is ancillary services, whether it's busing, whether it's food. You have to look at all of those as supporting education. If they're not supporting education efficiently and responsibly in financial management, you shouldn't be doing them. You should let someone else do it who can do it that way. Our only business is education. We've got to provide enough funds to keep paying for that quality education. You'll hear numbers cited up here from time to time about how we're paying the most for our teachers. We pay the most for our students on a per capita basis. But the one thing they don't say is we're still 8th in the state of Florida. We're paying the most, but we're not number 1. So there's got to be a correlation a little bit here. Right now, we don't have that correlation. Why? Because in 2007, everyone will tell you how great things were. We went through $12 million, guys, just getting to where we are today. We were forced to get where we are today based solely upon the economy, not by planning. And I stress planning.
Thank you. It's Howard Hubbard. Yvette.
Hello, I'm Yvette Mira-Talbott, a candidate for District 2. As far as qualifications, I have to agree with some of these gentlemen. There is not a particular quality or background that you need in order to be a successful school board member. I think that obviously having a good idea of business, budgeting, all of those things are extremely important. But I feel that one of the most important qualities that you can have is compassion. When you sit on that board and you make decisions to cut funds or allocations and all of those sorts of things, you need to be able to put a face to those things. You need to understand completely and fully what you're doing when you make those choices. When you cut programs, when you cut teachers, when you cut all of maintenance, all of these things that make that school work, the only people that are being affected at the end of the day are the children. And I think we've lost sight of that along the way. It's been very simple to sit in those boardrooms and make cuts and make choices without truly being sympathetic to the result of those decisions. You'll hear that there are people, that have experience at being a school board member. And that is true, absolutely. But you have to stop and think, how has experience helped us? You have to look at new leadership. I think that is something that we need to consider coming in the future. I mean, there's been opportunities. There have been opportunities to make things better. We saw this was coming down the pipe. Why didn't we take advantage of things that were offered to us? Why haven't we looked at the critical needs millage back when it was offered to us? Why have we given away valuable assets that we have? Because I don't think that deep down we're making the responsible choices. So, as a business person, an alumni of Florida State, I worked as an employee in the corporate world, and I still have to say that I think that I hold one of the biggest qualifications here, and that is I'm a mother. And sometimes that's been portrayed in the newspaper as a negative. I disagree. I think that is my greatest quality. Who understands better than a parent who is in that school system, working shoulder to shoulder with teachers and administrators and coaches to understand and sympathize what these cuts have cost us, literally. I ask you to ask yourselves what you're searching for when you're choosing your candidate. There is no perfect person. There isn't. We all bring something to this. But you have to identify what you feel is the most crucial quality. And that would be your choice in the end. Thank you.
Thanks again. That's Yvette, District 2. And this is John Welsh, District 3.
Yes, my name is John Welsh. I'm running for school board seat in District 3. I want to thank you for coming out tonight, and I want to thank Finnegan's Wake for hosting us tonight. As I was waiting in line, I was thinking about the qualifications of a good school board member. I did an inventory of the school board members that come to my mind over the last 30 years, and I've seen them from all walks of life. I've seen them from business, I've seen attorneys, I've seen private business owners, so I'm not sure that there's one qualification that can pin you down to make a good school board member. I can tell you experience counts in every field you can deal with. For 35 years I worked for the Monroe County school system. I was proud of the Monroe County school system. I was proud of everything that happened. I think the passion you have to have for the students, the ability to help the students and help the community and help the parents. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not used to a microphone anyway.
If you held it to your mouth, pull it out. Pull it out. Now hold it up to you. Now you're...
That's what I like, good advice. In actuality, you have to have a passion for the community and a passion for the people you're going to help, which ultimately are the students. I think I can be a good academic leader as a school board member. I can be an independent, unbiased leader on the school board. I have the experience. I worked as a classroom teacher. I worked as an assistant principal, and I was a principal of the largest school in Monroe County. I worked in that position for 8 years. I managed a budget of over $11 million. I'm completely familiar with the Monroe County School District's policy and procedure manual. I even worked on a revision committee when we redid the policy and procedures. Dying again. I also have a very good background in the Florida statutes that pertain to education, kindergarten through 12th grade. Is that better? Okay, I got it now. But I think when I thought about running for school board, a thought came to my mind that you have to be willing to have a dialogue with those you disagree with. And I think that's a quality that's been missing on the school board. I think you need someone that is anxious to resolve issues, whether they be academic or whether they be financial. You need to be able to work together and come to a compromise. Let's face it, whoever is on the school district is there for the students. That's our #1 priority, the students of Monroe County. They have to have a quality educational program. And I could go on and on for that,
but my sign was just held up. Thank you.
Michael Cunningham, District 3.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Not through the
This
mic.
one's not working.
Just talk about it.
Use the other one.
Try the other mic.
Thank you, everybody. My name is Michael Cunningham. I'm a father of 2 children, ages 7 and 9, going into 2nd and 4th grade. I believe the fact that you need to bring a certain set of skills to the board. Absolutely. As Mr. Peterson said, the business skills are the one thing that's truly needed right now. I moved to the Florida Keys 18 years ago with my wife. I serve as the CEO of the Florida Keys AHAC, which is part of the University of Miami Medical School. I serve as board president for Fisherman's Community Hospital. I serve as the chair for the School Health Advisory Committee, as well as board chair for multiple other nonprofits over the years. This is all about providing for our students the best teachers in the best schools with access to the resources that they need. In the past, we haven't done proper planning. No financial plan, no strategic plan, no operational plan. I question the fact that we haven't done this and the fact that we've had poor decision making. Most recently, if you look at the paper over the last couple days, we did a great job in selecting a new superintendent. Has anyone looked at his contract? If he does his job, he gets a 6.25% increase. If he does a really good job, he gets 12.5%. That's $9,000 or $18,000 annually. Anyone here want that type of raise? I know I do. That is poor decision making, and the board is responsible for this. Also in that contract, they talk about performance measures for this individual. What are those performance measures? You're going to sign a contract with somebody and not have this in place? I don't think so. We need to do better. I stand before you today asking for your vote because I'm ready to get to work for you for the next 4 years. Thank you.
I can't introduce you because I don't have mics. Andy Griffiths, District 2.
Hello everyone, Andy Griffiths, District 2. You know, what the voters can't take into account is the board in its entirety and its ability to work together, because oftentimes, given the randomness of how a board is chosen, you'll see a mix of assets. And so it'd be really good if not all 5 members had the same assets but had different strengths. But in general, what I think I bring is a set of values. I think my values represent the values of our community. And if I don't think our community has high enough values, then I will use the bully pulpit to raise our standards for our community. And I'm a father. And after this election, I'm the only candidate in my race that will have skin in the game. Everybody else can talk about it, but mine is personal. So I have a personal interest in an excellent school system. I also think a candidate needs experience at serving their neighborhood. And I've been a member of my neighborhood association for many, many years. So that's proof that I'm committed to my neighborhood community and my Florida Keys community at large. I think experience is hugely important when we have such a young school board. We have 2 board members that are just cutting their teeth. We'll have a brand new board member to replace Dr. Matheson. You have John Dick with 6 years and me. There wouldn't be a search for superintendent had I not called a friend in Tallahassee to come down here and do a workshop. I invited 40 people, some of the best minds in Monroe County, to attend that workshop. And from that group, we formed a committee of 20 people. And in 2 months and 2 weeks, we have our first hired superintendent in the history of Monroe County. And I've read the contract. And the board hasn't taken action on it, but they will on Tuesday. So I think that's enough. I think everyone here is pretty much, is anybody here an undecided voter? Raise your hand. Okay, we got 1, 2, 3. Very good. So that's your audience tonight, guys. Speak to those folks. Thanks.
I have more on standby.
I don't know if this works. This is Captain Ed Davidson, District 3.
Hi guys, thanks for coming. I agree that we need as great a diversity as possible of talents and experiences on the school board. I'm not sure we need 3 lawyers on the school board, which is what we have on the stage, but people with other talents would be a great idea. Because this is a very complex system. Our problems are not simple, and they're the product of things that haven't been done well for many years. Which is why it's important that I was at a lot of those meetings. I've attended more than 200 school board meetings and audit committee meetings and workshops over the years. Been involved with the school system for a long time. But I know that one guy can't fix everything. So in the last handful of years, I spent a lot of my own time and money running independent ads and helping campaign for the majority of guys that are presently on the school board. I have established relationships and friendships with all of them because I was looking forward to the day when we'd have a majority of people really committed to reform. And you need to make a very fundamental distinction between the school board and the school district administration. The administrations are where most of the problems have been historically, and the board has had a limited ability to fix them because until next November, that superintendent seat is elected independently, and they've behaved that way. When you want to talk about the new superintendent's pay scale, we paid almost that much to previous superintendents, and we didn't get a lot of talent for it out of the last 3, which is why the newspapers have been doing so well over all the scandals and the mismanagement, which is chronic. There still needs to be a culture change in the district administration, the way it's organized, its ethical outlook, its attitude towards public service, and I think the school board is well ahead of that curve, but we need a cooperative partnership with people that understand. I'm looking at this as a nearly full-time job for the next 3 or 4 years. This is not a part-time job. This is not 2 meetings a month job. If we toss our new superintendent, who is a lawyer, so I guess we don't need any more lawyers on the board, and has a lot of talent. He's been HR. He's done a lot of things, run a lot of great programs. If we toss him into the whirlpool without the board getting off their butts and doing a lot of homework, and the best way to tell who's going to do the work is who's already done his homework, and I've been doing that for many years. Thanks for coming.
Sloan Bashinsky, who's a write-in for District 3. Correct?
Read me the question again, because I've been hearing answers that don't remind me of the question.
Fill in the blank. The ideal school board member has the following experience and education.
First, in defense of the 3 lawyers who are ex-lawyers, they repealed, they repented. They're doing something else now. I think that Ed said it correctly. I mean, Larry. The first and foremost quality of anybody on the school board has to be they're insane. If you're not insane, you would not want to be on the school board. Ergo, res ipsa loquitur. The thing speaks for itself. Jesus, what an obvious answer. Must have been the devil. Now, right. I don't think the school board is a demonstration of what you want on the school board. They are where the buck stops. They approve the budget, not the superintendent. Does everybody understand that? Is that news to anybody? What you need on the school board is people that don't give a damn what anybody else thinks about them. That are not afraid. Take risks, speak out, get wrote up in the newspapers, get cussed, get your tires slashed. Who are incapable of not telling the truth, no matter what it costs them. At school board meetings, to the press, on US 1 radio. You do not want politicians on the school board, ever. You need people on the school board. Every one of them needs to be able to think outside of the box and stick with it. I don't see any thinking outside of the box on this school board, or the one before it, or the one before that, or on this panel, except for the one talking to you. I don't think it matters who you elect. I don't think a thing is going to change unless you get people thinking outside the box, and I'll probably have more to say about that in a bit. Thank you.